Hello, my friend. Today, I will tell you a powerful story. A story about a young man whose voice began as a whisper, yet grew strong enough to shake the streets of New York City. This is the journey of Zohran Mamdani, a man who refused to stay silent, a man who believed that even one voice can change an entire city. The story. In the heart of Queens, New York, there is a neighborhood full of life. Small shops, busy streets, people from every part of the world speaking different languages. In this colorful place, a young boy named Zohran Mamdani grew up. He watched the world carefully. He listened to the sounds of the street, laughter, arguments, music, dreams. He saw people working every single day, trying to build a better future. But he also saw something else. He saw struggle. He saw families fighting just to pay rent. He saw taxi drivers working long nights with little reward. He saw neighbors who were ignored by the powerful people in the city. And something inside him began to grow. A feeling, a fire, a voice that whispered, "Someone needs to help. Someone needs to speak for them." When Zohran was young, he didn't know that this voice would one day take him into politics. He didn't know that he would become one of the most inspiring leaders in New York. He only knew that he cared, deeply. As he grew older, this feeling followed him everywhere, during college, during work, during late-night conversations with friends. He talked about justice. He talked about fairness. He talked about how ordinary people deserved extraordinary respect. People listened. People nodded. People agreed. But there was a problem. Talking was not enough. One cold evening, Zohran walked through his neighborhood and saw something that changed him. A group of tenants were standing outside their building. Their landlord had raised the rent again. They were scared, they were angry, they were tired. A woman looked at Zohran and said, "No one cares about us." That sentence hit his heart like a stone, because Zohran cared. He cared more than she knew. He cared more than he ever admitted. And that night, he made a decision. He would not just talk, he would act. He would use his voice. He would use his energy. He would stand up for the people who felt invisible. He decided to run for office. The campaign that shocked New York. Running for office was not easy. Zohran was young. He was new. He did not come from a political family. He did not have powerful friends. But he had something stronger, the support of the people. Every morning he put on his shoes, stepped outside, and knocked on doors. Knock, knock. "Hello, I'm Zohran. I want to listen to you." He listened to mothers worried about schools. He listened to workers tired of being underpaid. He listened to immigrants afraid of losing their homes. He listened to taxi drivers who said their lives were falling apart because of unfair systems. Zohran did not act like a politician. He acted like a neighbor. People felt heard. People felt respected. People felt hope again. And slowly, very slowly, something began to change. First, one person supported him. Then 10, then 100, then thousands. His campaign became a movement built on kindness, courage, and community. Finally, the election day arrived. The city waited. The results came. And then, a message spread across Queens. Zohran Mamdani had won. A young leader had taken a seat that many believed he could never win. A voice that began as a whisper was now echoing across New York. The man who never stopped fighting. Victory did not make Zohran comfortable. It made him even more determined. He began working immediately. He fought for affordable housing. He stood with taxi drivers whose livelihoods were collapsing. He pushed for better transportation, fairer wages, safer streets. When taxi drivers were drowning in debt, many politicians ignored them. But Zohran did not. He stood beside them in the hot sun. He sat with them during long nights. He held a microphone and shouted until the city finally turned its head. One driver said with tears in his eyes, You are the only one who cared. Zohran understood something very important. Leadership is not about power. Leadership is about compassion. Leadership is about love. He used his role not to rise above people, but to stand beside them. The moment that defined him. There was a moment in Zohran's journey that truly defined his character. A new policy was hurting thousands of taxi drivers. Many of them were immigrants. Many were fathers. Many had lost everything. Debt pushed them into darkness. A few even felt so hopeless that they took their own lives. The city kept moving. People kept walking. But Zohran stopped. He looked at the pain of these workers and said, "No, this is wrong. This must change." For months, he protested. For months, he spoke to the press. For months, he refused to give up. People said, "It's impossible." But Zohran replied, "Impossible things become possible when we fight with heart." And then, it happened. A new rescue plan was announced. Drivers received financial relief, lives were saved, families were restored, hope returned. And behind that victory was the voice of Zohran Mamdani. The power of a voice. Zohran's story teaches us something important. A voice is more powerful than we think. A voice can open a door. A voice can heal a community. A voice can challenge injustice. A voice can change a city. Zohran's voice did all of that. Not because it was loud, but because it was honest. He never spoke to impress. He spoke to inspire. He spoke to protect people who had never been protected. He spoke to tell the truth. And people listened, not because he demanded attention, but because he earned it. The heart of his purpose. Zohran Mamdani is not just a politician. He is a storyteller. He shares the stories of those who feel unseen. The worker, the driver, the student, the immigrant, the family struggling to survive. He believes that stories build bridges. He believes that empathy builds communities. He believes that love builds justice. And he uses every part of his life, his heritage, his experiences, his passion, to lift others higher. When people ask him, "Why do you fight?" he answers, "Because every person deserves dignity." That sentence explains everything. The legacy he is building. Zohran is still young. His journey is still growing. But even now, his impact is clear. He has shown New York that change does not begin in a big office. Change begins in small conversations, in open ears, in brave hearts, in one voice on saying, "This is not right, we can do better." He has shown young people that leadership is not about age, it is about courage. He has shown immigrants that their stories matter, their dreams matter, their families matter. He has shown workers that they are not alone, and he has shown the world that one person, with a pure heart, with a strong voice, with a commitment to justice, can shake an entire city. The final message. Zohran Mamdani's journey is not just a political story. It is a human story, a story about kindness, a story about bravery, a story about hope. It reminds us that we too have a voice. We too can speak for what is right. We too can stand up for others. We too can change the world around us, even if it begins with a single step. Zohran began with nothing but a desire to help. And today he is one of the most inspiring voices in New York. His life teaches us, when you speak with love, the world listens. And that, my friend, is the story of Zohran Mamdani, the voice that changed New York.